All right. Describe your sense of call into this ministry.
Well, my call to ministry came, I think, from when I was very young. Um, there's a good friend of my parents that was a priest and would be visiting a lot, and then also the priest that I encountered throughout grade school and high school just put that thought of priesthood in my mind. And in particular, my call to go into doing mission work at St. Augustine's was just after some reflection and prayer when I knew that that was open and available.
Describe how you were brought to the place of your mission.
As I said, I prayed about when I found out that St. Augustine's was open for a pastor, and so then started considering going there, prayerfully considered and talked to the Archbishop of Omaha, Archbishop Curtis at the time, and he agreed to assign me there as pastor.
Um, Explain what it was like when you got there.
I was a little shocked by the amount of social problems there. I knew that there's poverty there, but the level of violence, the level of poverty was greater than I thought it was. It was almost, in some ways, at least in a couple of the towns that we served, almost like the third world countries. A lot of times they didn't have power, a lot of times they didn't have clean water available. And I was talking to a friend of mine who is an FBI agent. He and I graduated from high school together. He had just moved to the reservation also as an FBI agent. He said he'd never seen such a high level of violence in such a small population.
And how did the people treat you when you arrived there?
For the most part, the people were part of the Winnebago tribe, also known as Ho-Chunk, are very welcoming people overall. And so the people of the parish were very welcoming, very friendly. A number of people that were not part of the parish were more standoffish. They just are more hesitant to talk to anyone who's non-native. Not that they're mean or anything, but they just more standoffish.
What kind of people were you dealing with, and what were their main struggles?
Dealt a lot with parishioners and then also other people associated with our school. And the main problems that we dealt with were issues of poverty, issues of abuse, domestic abuse happening in the home, violence, substance abuse, both alcohol and drugs.
What was the difference between their culture and the culture you're used to?
There are a lot of similarities because the mission that I was part of was 85 miles north of Omaha. And so being American, being Nebraskans in one part, there's a lot of similarities. Most popular sport on the reservation is basketball. The basketball courts are always full of kids all ages and young adults playing. So there's a lot of similarities in the music they listen to, the way they dress. Some of the differences come in more spirituality and Native American spirituality. Also some of their customs, have a lot of respect for a number of their customs, the respect that they show to their elders, the respect that they show to those who have died. They have, the funeral rites are 4 days long, and those 4 days, each day they serve a meal, 4 meals a day, and around those there's prayer and storytelling and sharing that goes on.
Okay. Was there any specific experiences or experience that you had that really stuck out?
I think one of the first things that sticks out in my memory, going back to one of the big problems with violence, is going up there. I'd been a priest for 16 years, and at that point, and I'd never had a funeral for someone who had died from violence. And the first funeral I had up there was a murder victim who was stabbed by his girlfriend as the two of them were fighting with each other. A young man in his early 20s, and had a number of those in the time that I was up there. A number of those kinds of funerals, and those stand out. Another thing that stands out is we have a school up there, and working with the students, and the hopefulness, at least, that many of them have in seeing them succeed, and going on to high school, and some of our graduates going on to college and being successful, and seeing that is memorable. We also had the experience that Java Chamberlain, the Christmas after the Yankees had won the World Series, came and visited on the last day of school before Christmas break and had gifts for all the kids and talked about the importance of education, the importance of having a dream and continuing to seek that dream.
What kind of struggles did you yourself face in your time there?
One of the biggest struggles was just trying to stay positive. When you're dealing with a lot of poverty, when you're dealing with a lot of problems that people are having, it's difficult to find the energy sometimes to continue to find hope and help during those situations. So that can be very difficult, and that was a struggle at times. Also, just struggling trying to find the resources to help. And using at times my own resources, financial resources, to buy things that people needed that they didn't have.
We are comparing you to St. Patrick's missionary work in Ireland. How, in your mind, were your experiences similar and different to his?
I'll start with what was different between Patrick's experience and mine. When Patrick went to Ireland, he went to a place where people had really not heard the gospel, did not know Christ, and was a much different religion. And so he was bringing the gospel for the first time to Ireland. Where I was going, the people had heard the gospel before. There were some people in the Winnebago tribe that had been Catholic for centuries, because when they were in Wisconsin, in their original homeland, they had encountered missionaries there, French missionaries. And so they had already known the gospel, they'd heard the gospel, and so there was already that connection to the gospel. Plus our mission had been there for almost 100 years by the time that I got there. What was similar, is bringing the gospel into a different culture and trying to help people make sense of the gospel within their own context, within their own frame of experience, of faith, of spirituality. And so some of the things that we did at the mission was to incorporate that culture. In our school, the kids learn their language, their native language, either the Omaha or the Winnebago language, learn about their traditions and customs. So to have them tied to who they are as Winnebago or Omaha members, and then also what that means in the broader perspective of being Christian.
What was different about the way that you celebrated the Mass?
The basics of the Mass were the same, but one of the things that we did differently is at the beginning of Mass, we incensed. We began by incensing to the four directions, beginning with the east and then going clockwise. Then we incensed around the altar, and then we incensed the people. Now, Catholic Masses a lot of times use incense, but we didn't use traditional incense, we used cedar. And instead of using a censer, like you use in a Catholic church, like a brass sort of thing, we used a clay pot and we used an eagle feather to do that, incorporating the tradition. In the art and environment of the church, we had native symbols, like our crucifix behind it had the prayer wheel with the four directions and the four colors, eagle feathers hanging off the arms of the crucifix. And then, like this shirt that I'm wearing was a gift. It's a ribbon shirt, but kind of a clergy shirt. It has Winnebago applique, which means that the two images are the same except for color, and they incorporated the four colors of the liturgy, so red, green, purple, and white, as a gift. And I would wear this at times on special occasions instead of a traditional clergy shirt.
Okay, and then after doing all this stuff, what was it like leaving the reservation?
It was difficult in the sense there's a lot of people that really came to know very well, to like, and it's always difficult moving from one place to another. I was sad to see many of those people and say goodbye to them. But I know it's not forever. I've been back up to visit. I just came back from a pilgrimage with a number of them to Rome for the canonization of St. Kateri. But one of the things I was touched by is by their generosity. When I left, they're very generous with gifts. This was one of them, a star quilt, traditional quilt, but knowing that I was a Minnesota Twins fan, incorporating the twin symbol in the star quilt.
Okay, thanks.